the things that you got, I mean, really known for was covering the RNC and DNC back in, back when you were with the Tonight Show. When you look back at those conventions compared to, I mean, we're literally in the middle of the RNC now. I mean, did you see, I mean, could you read the tea leaves then? Could you see where things were heading?
No,
No.
no. And, part of the reason that I think so, for those who don't know, I covered the conventions for the Tonight Show back. This is a long time ago. It was during the Bush Clinton race, and that's the first George Bush Clinton race. And I really there was so much about it that I knew nothing about. I mean, there's still a lot about it that I know nothing about, but there was so much about it that I knew nothing about, which is part of the reason I feel like it was a very successful endeavor for me, and entertaining to the Tonight Show viewers, because I was asking questions that are were not highly intellectual questions. They were just it's just stuff that I certainly didn't know. And here, here's an example. I was just shocked to find out. I mean, now it seems commonplace, but I was just shocked. I was standing backstage during the day at the Republican convention back then. So it was at the Houston Astrodome. So I'm in the bowels of the Astrodome, and this worker pushes past this big two-wheeler flat of Bush signs of I support Bush or whatever. They're all, and I was like, wow, they have the signs here. I had always believed. I mean, now when you see everyone carrying the same sign, it's clear that it was given to them there. But in the old days, I could swear people used to, didn't they make the sign in their garage with magic markers and cardboard and a stick and or maybe some spray paint? I had always believed that these things happened organically. And what I discovered was it's the entire thing is theater.
Yeah.
I mean, even down to, it's funny because I was watching a couple of clips last night from the Republican convention, which is not easy to do.
Yeah, I'm
But I
sorry.
was watching some clips last night, and I forget who was speaking, but it was people fairly, high up in the hierarchy. And the way they film it, you have no idea that no one in the crowd is listening to them.
Mhm.
In fact, I don't know how people even give their speeches at those things. Maybe towards the end of the convention, when it will be like the nominee or the vice presidential nominee, when they speak, then people are listening. But the majority of the speeches that take place during the conventions, the person is on stage talking. People are wandering around, they're walking, they're talking, they're not paying any attention at all. But the way it's filmed, it looks like, and if, it takes a fairly good political performer to be able to sort of overcome the fact that no one's listening to them. Not only are they not listening, but they're being noisy while they're not listening.
That's
So,
an interesting phrase that you just used too, like political performer.
yeah.
I think so much of the politics now has become the performance and isn't actually governing, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, look I mean, it's not like I'm a political expert. I am not. And that's, again, part of what made those appearances for the Tonight Show entertaining, is I think I was asking questions of people that everybody kind of wanted to ask. But, once it's it's like once you're in the middle of things, you don't want to say, like, how does that work again? Why do they do that? Because you just feel like an idiot. And so I think, one of the big problems we have right now is that, how many people don't understand at all how the system works. For example, there are people who are angry with Biden because Roe v. Wade was overturned. And they feel because Biden's president,
Right.
that it's Biden's Supreme Court. There are people who don't understand that no, the Supreme Court gets built over time, and there's count them, one person on that court that was appointed by Biden, and they are voting the right way on the issues.
Right.
So, but there are people who don't know that. And they don't know it because, once the ball gets rolling, nobody wants to stop it and go, explain to me about the Supreme Court again. So instead of admitting their ignorance and asking questions, they just act on their ignorance, that's where the problem lies.
Yeah. I mean, also, I think everybody has short-term memory loss. It's like people forget that Trump appointed three of those judges,
Yeah.
and all three of those judges voted, the same way.
Yeah.
So all three
Or
of
the two
them,
that have been, uh, for all practical purposes, bribed,
Mhm.
that
Oh,
are owned by the, and the other thing is, we were just not raised to think this could happen. Every movie we've ever seen, there was a happy ending.
hmm.
There was some sort of silver lining, right? Even if the main character who's beloved dies, well, there's still what do you call it? There's still a,
It's just ending for them.
yeah, there's something, they walk off into the distance with a, new, right. Something, what's the Tom Hanks movie where he's cast away in the,
Yeah.
yeah,
Falls on the island and comes back.
yeah, at the end he's lost his wife because she got married and began another life, and he loses her, and then he I don't know, he drives to deliver a package somewhere or something, and he meets a girl at an intersection, and then the last thing you see is his car going sort of towards where the girl went, and there's even in the saddest thing, there's always this like hope for the future. We don't The idea that no, we're walking into a terrible, terrible thing, it just doesn't have room in anybody's brain, I don't think. I've read not all of Project 2025, but part of it. Okay, one of the things in this, and is that, okay, not only are they going to get rid of the Environmental Protection Agency, but in Project 2025, for those who don't know, is the blueprint that's been written for what will happen, what the plan is, should Trump
The
take office again.
policies that they want to introduce.
Yes. And so one of the things, all right, they're going to get rid of the Environmental Protection Agency, but the other thing is they will not allow the phrase climate change.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I assume they mean within the government, because I don't know how they restrict everybody else from saying climate change. But I think here's what I think. I think we could probably say I'm at Clay Ainge, and they won't know what we're saying. So don't worry so much about that. But the fact that the government itself will not be, if you're not going to say it, then clearly you're not going to address it, which means that the world is literally going to end.